But anyway, let's do a new game. And we know there's a mystery about those discs. The transmission on it apparently was in Morse code for Japanese. And Susato translated it, and it was a list of names. We had Gregson, Kazuma. Oh no. Oh, did Dad die?
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
Oh, Dad must have passed away. Because he was ill, she went home.
He's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
Oh, it's her.
So I came here
She
today to
involved?
ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Ooh, she's taking up the charge of a lawyer, huh? So is she back? Oh. No, she's
So
not.
Please, I ask for your guidance.
She's not back.
Kazuma-sama.
Oh, that's Kazuma's grave. Oh, right. I thought it was her father's. Well played, game. You had me guessing. So wait, do we play as her? Cool. We're back in Japan. Oh god, are we going to be facing down against Ouchie again? We probably are, right? Here I am again after 9 months, the Supreme Court of the Judicator of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. There's Papa. Papa Mikotoba. Ah, good you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognized you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Oh god, she's pulling a Naruhodo with the bulging, scrambling eyes. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Nice, well chosen there, Susato, standing in front of your dad. I wish I'd never been born. Huh? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Wow. Eugene Mikotoba, Professor of Medicine at the Imperial Yumei University, a man who earlier in his life travelled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Would I be correct in thinking that you're my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes, that's right, Miss... Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. This is a complete fabrication, the whole thing. Ray Membami. Membami? That's odd. I've never heard that name before. Membami. Wow. Born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. Oh, so we're coming full circle, one friend representing another. Though unusual for a woman in our times, she works at the university research laboratory helping my father. She also looks like she could be totally like a ninja or something. Look at her. She's got the hair. That's the hair that the ninjas have in anime. Sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, I just, that... You look so gallant and dashing. Okay. Sorry. When I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Wow, we're going there already, game, are we? Cool. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be, but this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? Wait, what are we wearing? What? Nani? Is that you, Susato? I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. It's just, no! What are you doing? What's going on? What? Nani? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, the varsity cape, the varsity badge. God, it's so much varsity! Look at you. For all the world, just like a student of the Imperial Yume University, but a male student. Oh, you can put the hands down. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 in the morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Let me guess, because a woman isn't allowed in court. Well, you see, it was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in the trial. My defense? Come on, we've got to see what we look like. Come on. Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan have barred women, not even allowed to set foot in the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you'd go to such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. Even if you didn't recognize me, my god. Good friend you are. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. But maybe the lawyer you need. Not the lawyer we need, but... No, not the lawyer we deserve, but the one we need, or something. Hey, Infallible Daystar! Ahoy to you too, how's it going? Nice to see you. How's life treating you? Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already, and yet just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in the court? You're so gallant and dashing. I almost had a heart attack after installing an SSD last night. Oh no. Did it cause problems? Oh dear. Hopefully they're all fixed. Ray, please don't look at me like that with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you really do look so dashing. Man, she's crushing. She's crushing on her friend because she's dressed like a guy. Wow. Laptop fans stopped working and they're still behaving weird? Ooh. Ooh dear. That doesn't sound good, yeah. Why would that have happened, I wonder? The fans should just be tied onto the dashboard on the motherboard's power supply. Could be interfering with it. Well, hopefully you get it fixed or figure out what the cause was. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped, and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe in me, don't you? I don't know, you still kind of look like, you know, a ninja. I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder? Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand with you to the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side, because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Susato. Defendant, counsel, court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Yes, sir. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Oh. Stand aside! Fucking go! I don't think I've seen her run so fast. Well, Susato, you've certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There was simply no other way, that's all there is to it. But father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out no other lawyer would agree to take her case. Whoa. That's basically the same problem, though, that Naruhodo had, right? On the beginning of the first game, it was like, nobody will touch you with a 10-foot pole. I didn't want to burden her with that. Is it true, the reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case, is it really because of who the victim was? It was the Swan Lady from the first case. We should be making a move now too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. Because, you know, they just let students defend people in court, apparently. Highly logical. I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Speaking of, have you played the Phoenix Wright vs Professor Layton's? No, I haven't yet. I don't have a DS though now. I had one long ago, but I don't have one now. So unless they're available on the Switch, which they might be, or on the PC, which I don't think they are, I probably won't get to play them. Oh god, we are facing against Ouchie, and his top knot's still gone. Ah! Oh my god, his top knot's still gone. He's wearing his hair down now. Emulation! To be honest, I've tried emulators on and off all the time, and they're too much fucking work. It's too much trouble for one game. I mean, there was some where it's like, you just put this in the folder and run it and it works, and they never do for me. I just always have trouble with them. Court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Membambi. I will eventually keep trying to say that as Membambi. Membambi. Look at him! Oh my god. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. 3DS is super basic as far as I know. Let me know if you ever decide to do it. I'll let you know, but like I said, there have been emulators like that. Supposedly the PlayStation one was super easy. It was a self-contained program that you just drop into a folder and run, and it had everything it needed, and it just wouldn't work properly for me. It either didn't give me the sound, it wouldn't recognize my controllers, it wouldn't do half the stuff I wanted, or the game files didn't work, and I was like, fuck it. Can't be asked. So, yeah. But I'll have a think about it. Defense Council, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ready. God damn it. All the PS emulators are annoying to set up. I mean, it's, on the website they said it was just easy. There were like literally no hassle installations, it kept saying, so I don't know. I can't remember which ones I tried now. Yes, Council, according to your registration details, your name is, Ryotaro Naruhodo, is that correct? Sorry? Oh my god. She's doing the scrambly eyes. She's got the Naruhodo eyes already. Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture, so I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, Council? Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryotaro. He who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. Oh. It's like, wow, okay. Cool, cool. It seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo? A fresh face in the courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be... you may be thinking of Ryonosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is his cousin. That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them. Tut tut tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused had to call in a country boy. How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. Oh, we're off to a great start. Please be careful, Ray. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. She's an idiot, yes. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggests he is not. Oh, I'm so nervous. Now I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are want to flit. The case to be heard this day is a matter of great significance to our national interest. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. No pressure, then. Just like the trial 9 months ago, and yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, and we had to make sure we gave the name of the defendant and the victim and blah blah blah. The same judge tested him as well. Even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colours. Yeah, I don't know what we were originally studying, though. What were we studying originally? It wasn't law, but it was something else. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, Counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions? Oh, the cape's come off now. She's pulled the Lord Van Zykes. The cape has come off. Alright, time to prove myself. Oh. Okay, well, she's definitely doing the Naruhodo, alright. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple. Can I have multiple choice? Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim. Phew, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. Let me guess. Oh, I forgot. What's the matter? Now I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter under the little circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret. You need to use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome a problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be among all the key information about the case in the court record. Right, just use the RB to open the court record. Flip to the People's section with RB, and don't take too long over it, His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with RB. That's where all the information is I'll need. We have a post-mortem as well. Maybe we'll have a look at that first. Time of death just after 2 PM. Death is believed to be due to trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. A single wound was identified. Yes, it's Jaziel Brett. That's it. The frigging swan lady. Hey, Freya, Gender Bend episode. Yeah, because here's the thing. Susato is back in Japan, and now her best friend has been tried for murder of Jaziel Brett. Remember the swan lady from the first case of the first game? The very first stream? She's dead. Somebody stabbed her in the back, it seems. She got the Julius Caesar treatment, but only the one time. And, yeah, her friend's been put on trial for it. So, in order to defend her, she's had to dress up like a dude because they don't let women in the court. So there we go. So we've got a single stab wound from behind, piercing the lung, resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Extreme meiosis, pupil constriction observed in the victim in both eyes. So, if the pupils were constrained, that means she might have been on something? She might have been drugged, maybe? So yeah, this is Rei Membami, who is her best friend and works in the laboratory with her father, Mikotoba. And there she is, look, the Swan Lady. And then we've got Ouchie, without his top knot, because it was cut off last time we saw him. Alright. Jaziel Brett. Wait, I'm waiting, Counsel. What is the name of the victim in the case?
Yes!
Yes! Up comes the hand. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Jaziel Brett. Jaziel Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of the Empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. Why was she still in Japan? I thought she'd been shipped out months ago. But let me propose another simple question. As you know, Ms. Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name indelibly associated with our own Empire's judicial history? Obviously you won't have forgotten the case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I'm still remembering. That was the start of everything. Jaziel Brett. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of a killer. Oh, Queen Victoria. Oh my god. And again, that would have been found guilty for the murder, yeah.
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed, and the culprit was Jaziel Brett. Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of the Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. So secret they had people in the witness stands and in the audience and everything. But it was a secret. Shh, don't tell anyone. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on the suspicion of the murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. So yeah, it was English language, right. I had forgotten what it was we were supposed to be originally a student of, 'cause it wasn't law. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. Wow, they've been doing this for months? Bureaucracy, yo. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship. And yet the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Only the day before? Oh, it's Ryunosuke, is it? That makes more sense, because Ryunosuke just sounded really weird. But yeah, I probably will forget that. I've already formed the habit now, so it's going to go wrong. So, but thank you anyway. That will do. I'm satisfied the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now a summary of the incident, if you please, Prosecutor Aochi. As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight, in front of 3 seagulls, who we are bringing onto the witness stand later, on the outskirts of Imperial Capital under a bright blue sky at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. Yorana! Hello! The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal. How are you today, Yorana? There were 2 persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death, another closed room murder. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Another murder! Sweet! And it's the murderer from the first case, in the first game, who has been murdered. So there you know, now she knows how it feels. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... I mean, he didn't elaborate on the powerful motive. Also, why would she be just in a bathing spot? I thought she was under arrest. But what's the powerful motive? You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut, tut, tut. Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand? I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Membami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yumei University, I believe? Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in the laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then? Let me guess, she worked with Wilson. Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the English woman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray, be careful what you're saying. Ah. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. It was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster the defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about being alone together. How can they be sure? Membami-san? Yes, what is it? Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryotaro Susato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why were you alone with her? Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. Would that be Hosonaga? Oh god, please tell me it's Hosonaga. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No! Because as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have had the opportunity to dispatch her again. By the way, are all cases where the accused is actually innocent, or is there some that you are defending an actual criminal? There is that as well. That will happen. The third trial in the first game, when we were defending a guy called Magnus McGilded, that was sketchy as fuck. And then we learn later that, yeah, he probably done it, or did do it, or whatever. In the previous games as well, in the Ace Attorney trilogy, which by the way I've noticed is on Midweek Madness on Steam. It's on sale right now. Go get it if you don't have it, it's good. In the first game, all of your defendants are truly innocent, and you always find the true culprits. In the second game, I think it was, we do defend a guy, or maybe it was the third game. There is a guy you defend who is actually, you know, he's actually guilty. And he's not a nice guy. Everybody thinks he is, but then we see the real him later, and he laughs about it, and it's like, oh my god. So you do eventually go through that, where you eventually have your trust shaken, you know, so... Yeah, that we're talking about the same one, Freya. The very good one, yeah. I'm not going to say which one it is, because I don't want to give it away for people who haven't played Ace Attorney yet. So, yeah, it's good though. Because the guy is guilty as fuck, and he drops the facade about halfway through the trial and lets you know, and you're just like, oh shit, but when you're now tied in to have to complete the case for other reasons, there's other stuff going on where you're like, if we don't actually successfully defend this guy, it's going to be bad for someone. So you have to keep going and defend the dude and let him get off. And it's like, whoa, holy shit. So yeah, they're not always innocent. Was he guilty of touching butts? He might have been as well. We didn't ask him. What he does in his personal life, no affair of mine. But yeah, he was guilty of potentially killing someone though. So yeah. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. Tush. The prosecution's counsel seems to enjoy using proactive tricks like that, or provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying, but Father's right. We need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick on the prosecution of what he said about the bathing spot then, I guess. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned the bathing spot? Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in public health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin. No, that's not what I mean. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? For old time's sake, I believe. Oh, well then. Sorry? Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy puts extreme pressure on our government to comply. But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me like that, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. Yeah, but I choose to look at you anyway. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, a murder took place. I said don't look at me. It was the young student girl who did it, not I. No one has proven that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. What? Jesus. So she kills a dude, gets found guilty, and they're like, well, off to work with you then, keep going. We'll come pick you up later when we need to take you out of the country. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder of a mentor for whom she had great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty? Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Is the swan dead as well? Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. I don't know, if this was Hitman, you'd hide in the dress that's up on the hanger thing. The court will accept the photographic print as evidence. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. Let's have a look at that picture actually though first. Because like, why is she holding a pen? I did notice that. There are footsteps coming in and around, but we don't know whose they are. There's wine that she was drinking. They won't necessarily all be hers. Look, she's got heels on her shoes, unless they're barefoot, but I mean no, because there's no toes. So someone with flat shoes came in here. And there's the bag. I remember the bag. The one that was like a mesh. It's like a net. There is a gap in the wall as well. Yeah, she could have been stabbed through there. That's what I was thinking. Because the knife isn't there, but she's been stabbed. So yeah, I think you're on something there. Look for the cat flap, yes. The kitty did it. And we know Susato likes to make cat flaps indoors. We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Witnesses? But who? The three seagulls, I told you about them. They were in the picture earlier. One of whom I might add is a highly respected police detective. I assure you the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. Ugh. Very well then, counsel, bring forth your witness. I, Takatsuchi Ouchi, have been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten the trial 9 months ago here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ah, Nuska, fucking Naruhodo, you bastard, you. Yes, what? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You become conceited with age, counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. And then... It is the way of the world. May you never forget that. Hoo-yah! Oh, and now his hair's like that again. Love it. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. The sword in the courtroom? Yeah, hey, Ryu's been carrying that with him as well. He's had that all the way through the game afterwards. The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, counsel? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchie growth. Oh my god. You see, this is the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown. I think the tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is that hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another yokel student in the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you, and my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witness to the stand. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides of this trial. The prosecution and the defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Rei's life. Oh, it's Hosonaga! Oh my god! Look who it is, it's the poet dude! Oh, nice. Witness, please state your names and occupations for the court. He needs fertilizer, just smear poop on the head. Oh, we will. Why is the turtle on the head? Hosonaga, what is this? Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. Well, you're doing a fantastic job, and he still has the waiter's freaking towel. And I am, the next big thing in books. The author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Soseki Natsume. Oh my goodness, look who it is. Struggling student from provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence, but all of you can please relax. Call me Soseki, even. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? At least we know he's alive, and that he made it. You know, that the curse of the Reaper of the Bailey didn't catch him. Tread carefully, Susato. That author fella knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will all be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. Yes, Dad. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. His eyebrows have gotten bigger. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? No? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Oh, I suppose it's this disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Did you steal any evidence this time from the crime scene, detective? Let's just get that out of the way first. Feel free to present everything you fucking took. Because, Jesus, we wouldn't have solved the first case if we hadn't have pursued that. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present, but what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san? Is that dirty peeping, Tom? Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University. After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Sciences Department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikotoba? That's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or the other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. What's with the friggin' Pat behind him as well, snapping away? He's got his own Daily Mail stalker. Huh. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Can you sign it too, please? Thank you very much. He practically threw the paper at me. Dude's, hey, he's got to do his own marketing. That's how you get on in authoring. You've got to start out somewhere. Contains an article about the discussion between my father and Soseki-san. The debate became quite spirited, it seems. Let's have a look at that, actually, first. Oh, God. And the kitty! Hello, kitty. Cute kitty. What the hell is this, though? Seriously, but I guess we can't actually read it. But is there some clue here? If we can only look at it, there must be a clue in it. I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. Like if we can see the hilt of a knife poking out of his jacket or something, then we know he done it. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett, was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance, and the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga. Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Oh god, he's coughing blood again. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so yeah, you look fit as a fiddle, dude. I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean you were at the beach too, Father? No, fortunately I had work to finish off, but unfortunately, of course, it meant that my assistant, Ray, was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but if only I had! I'd never see that awful sight! Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Without coughing up blood, please, if you can. Of course, Excellency. Why he does JoJo poses? Because Japan. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret I am. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran to the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Okay, so the blade was in her back. I guess Ray removed it. He looks like a JoJo character too, yeah. Indeed, it does appear from the testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of the heinous crime. What? Now, if you recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene while examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. If you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Let me guess, it has Ray's name on it. But who made the picture, exactly? Ah, the owner's initials have been engraved onto the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. The initials of the defendant. Ah, no! Susato, you must stop stealing Naruhodo's animations, okay? That's just lazy game character. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as criminal evidence. RM. Yeah, critical hit. Rolled a 20. So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. Yes, he wouldn't give up. That means... Oh, yes, me! Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? That might be, I don't know, I haven't asked around. Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom, there isn't one! Surprise! Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant, finding consistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. Let's see what I can do. I'm still in favor of setting fire to the courtroom and running. Alright, ordered on a special surveillance assignment in disguise. Ordered by whom exactly? I want their names, damn it. In that jaunty disguise? Correct. Was the turtle your idea or theirs? Wait, no! I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn this swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. It's tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the Englishwoman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day. I mean, if you set fire, then you will just blame Naruhodo, like Sholmes did. Exactly, yes. I can say, no, I didn't set fire to your courtroom. Naruhodo did it, apparently. Remember that Naruhodo? Yeah. I'm Susato Mikotoba. And this tried and tested outfit was the answer? Wait, doesn't the detective look like that one prosecutor from the other games? I guess he kind of does look a little Edgeworthy, yeah. Slightly different, but a little Edgeworthy, yeah. Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerge myself in the salty water, leaving only my turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. My turtle loves the water. Okay. But there was no need for you to blend into the background on this assignment, really, was there? If that made you late arriving at the scene, I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong. Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment. Looks edgy. Just managed to catch a crab.
Hold it!
He went to the beach and caught crabs, guys. Oh. Ah, you're describing the victim's scream, presumably, Soseki-san? In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Kya! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are wont to describing things so. Soseki-san wasn't at all like this in England. Well, I mean, in England, he thought he was being chased by the devil, so... Anyway, I spun around at the noise, and the beach hut immediately fell to my gaze. Kind of like the light version of Simon Blackwell. Ah yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministers. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Well, how nice of them. The 1%. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. The sun burns us! So great, it's a vampire hangout. Although the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself. Which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand. Ah, I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you? Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and headed for the beach hut at a run. Or in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beetled off to the hut-wise. I ran into the beach hut once and found the pair in question. Okay. Hold it! Wait, by pair, you don't mean to say... But how could that be? No, you misunderstand. Obviously, I mean the victim and the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Oh. It would have been helpful if you'd just said that from the outset. If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat on your face sometimes. And dear me, pinning your hopes on such an outside chance, foolish, very foolish. It was really an outside chance, I just wish I'd realised before I said something silly. So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court exactly how you found the aforementioned pair in the hut? Well, it was a sorry sight. A really grisly scene. I parted the Norrin curtain hanging in the doorway and stepped inside only to see the defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled in the sand. My glasses very nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes. How thoroughly appalling. He doesn't appear to be lying here. Well, Soseki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hosonaga is saying, I wonder? Ah, you'd like a literary man's opinion. Astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, stabbed wildly.
Hold it!
That's obviously bullshit. Stabbed wildly. You actually saw her do that. Oh, indeed. A terrible spectre. The Terrapin Inspector, the body torrent. The author's torment. Oof. Jesus. Every sight and every sound is still carved in my melancholy memory. That was my impression, at least. As a future literary sensation. Counselor, what on earth was that shrill, that effeminate scream? Oh no, look, my voice hasn't broken yet. What are you insinuating? I'm as manly as a Japanese man as you. I wonder if I might interject here, Soseki-san. Something you said is troubling me. That was my impression, were your words just now, I believe. Twitchy, twitchy, twitchy. Ah, so do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you've described? Yes, you. No! I mean, yes! I mean, I know what I saw. My ears didn't deceive me when I heard the scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either. I could describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial. It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn. I think this is a fool's errand. The more we press your author friend on what he saw, the more entrenched he's going to become. Oh dear, how awkward. Yeah. The blood on the blade, it proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. No, it proved that knife was the one that was used to stab her. She was stabbed multiple times, how can you be sure of that? Very simply, from the blood on the blade. The blood? When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. Oh. And I noted that there was blood on the blade already at that point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I arrived on the scene. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly. Yes, that's right, I saw it too! Maybe a year in London was too much for him. He sounds like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese. The logic of your argument is sound, at least. Well, as I said, it's my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly? That's just my personal opinion, of course. Ow! Blood on the blade, but you can see if it was multiple times by counting the holes. Plus, in the court record, post-mortem report, single deep stab wound. So the medical examination of the body states one stab wound. So we can already pull these guys apart with that. Counsel, you will refrain from mocking the witness. But he's so mockable though, look at him. He's an easy target, I can't help it. Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head. It's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute. Goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down. Mock the witness! But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons, a misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion, even a delusion. What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During witness testimonies, you can use RB to pick a piece of evidence and present it for consideration. So you need to listen carefully to each statement and compare what's said to the details of the court record. If you find some conflicting information, that may be the inconsistency you're looking for. It's all about the inconsistencies. It is consistently about inconsistencies. Once you've identified a witness's statement that appears to conflict with a piece of evidence, present the evidence to the witness with why, and the way ahead will present itself to you, I'm sure. Yes, alright then. I'll consider the details of the evidence in the court record against each statement to find an inconsistency. I hope I'm up to the task. Don't forget you can have the witnesses repeat their statements as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the beginning, remember? Those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl. You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start. Right, so these first few are a little bit pointless. Managed to catch the crab. Ran to the beach hut and found the pair. The young girl stabbed she stabbed wildly. Blood on the blade, it proved that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. So this is the one that really contradicts the evidence, whereas this one, he doesn't necessarily state multiple times. The young girl was astride, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. But you can stab once wildly. He's stating categorically that it has proved that she stabbed multiple times because of how much blood was on the blade. And it's like, what could have happened though is that I think I'm going to make a prediction. I've got it. I've got it, guys. I want to make a prediction early. You're here for this? Remember this moment. In the first case of the first game, Giselle Brett murdered Dr. John H. Wilson by poisoning him. She poisoned him with something that would suffocate him slowly as it paralyzed his whole body, a particular plant that she knew about. And it's not something they would have actually detected when they did a pathology report. Because it's not the poison that's available in Japan. But it gave the impression that Dr. Wilson was sat talking with this lady and he was dead for a while. But everybody thought he was fine because he was stiff as a board, paralyzed. So he was held up in the chair. So even when Ryu came up to him to say hi, he was already dead. He just blathered on about how it was happy to meet him and all that stuff, and, you know, off he went, excusing himself. And the doctor was already dead at that point. And then, in order to frame Ryu, Giselle Brett shot him and planted the gun to be used by Ryu, like when he picked it up out of shock, waiting till he passed by. Made it look like he'd done it. And then she shot him with her own gun. So this case is going to be a repeat of that murder method, I think. It's going to be a repeat of the murder method. I think Giselle Brett was sat on that stool, because look at where she is. It's like she's just collapsed forward. I think she was sat on that stool and she was stabbed through that crack. But I think that wine glass contained a poison that did the same thing to her that happened to Dr. Wilson, and she was sat there for a while. and she got stabbed and murdered that way. So that's why the blade has a lot of blood on it, because it was in her body for a while, unseen, and then eventually she toppled forward and fell on the floor, and the scream we heard was probably Ray. Don't know about the pen in the hand still, but for sure, I think that's what's happened here. And that's why there's a lot of blood on the blade. But anyway, so poison, stool, stab, question mark, profit. Yes, pretty much. Or profit in this case is more like murder trial, but you know, found innocent, then profit. Yes. Right, so we're gonna go with this.
Objection!
Objection! Oi, mate! Natter! With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama or Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. Profit for the lawyers, oh yeah. Here's your bill. 17,000 yen, please. An hour. What's the meaning of this menacing pose, counsel? Oh, nothing. Just trying to put the fear of God into you. Is it working? I'd like the witness to clarify something. Oh, what? Where? When? How? Not you, Soseki-san. The query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. At me? In your statement just now, you said the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. Huh? What? Nani? Get to the point, please, counsel. In the book! The book of everything. She's got her world almanac with her. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Soseki-san. Me? You claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes, I did. Wildly! Yeah, I realized this as well. He's like, I heard the scream, and then I ran in, and then he says he's seeing the stabbing. Which does imply multiple stabbings, because the scream would be from the first stab. But if she was only stabbed once, he shouldn't have seen another act of stabbing afterwards, because he was already away. Did she put that in her sleeves too? Probably. Yes. She's just really good at hiding things up her sleeves, guys. It's a skill. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw in the defendant holding. Yes, and... It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, therefore there is no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. True. Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency, there's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be! I'm gonna buy that guy a cocktail shaker. I'm pretty sure he could make a mean martini with those shakes. You know. Excellent work, Susato. You exploded them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. Objection! Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in the trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution and was only half a head of hair. Oh, damn! Slander. My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all the talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And that was the moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. Ah! Yes, but Hosanaga's testimony was that he could tell by how much blood was on the blade that there had been several stabbings. It's like, so how did that much blood end up on the blade in the first place? You can do way more with those shakes. He could mix paint as well. I know what you're thinking. I like it. This courtroom could use a redecorating. I'm not sure about this weird pinky, mauvey, whatever the hell it is colour. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. And just, you know, outright fucking weirdness. I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding a blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she was withdrawing the blade, then are we back to where we started? Sorry? Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled a blade from the victim? And with the demon's cold-blooded composure too. The prosecution demands an explanation. It had better be good. The explanation is you suck. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. What does Father mean by that? Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is I don't really know, but I have to come up with a plausible reason here or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could save her life or hide the knife. I mean, even I know you do not pull out a knife blade or a piece of glass or metal or whatever the hell has stabbed somebody. You know, if something has skewered you or someone else, the last thing you do is pull it out to try to patch the wound up, because all you do is allow the blood to flow. That knife blade would actually hold the blood in. You know, like it would act as kind of a dam for the blood. As soon as you pull it out, then you get the full-on comes out, right? Yeah, you don't save life by pulling a knife. And Ray is a medical student. She should know that. So not to save the life, she knew she was probably already dead. So, because what you really should do in this situation, if you try to help someone who's been stabbed or has been skewered by something and it's still in the body, is you have to brace it to stop it from moving anymore and causing any more harm. Like, you know, we did it in first aid class. We got bandages, and you make like 2 long sausages of bandages and put them either side of the blade or either side of the piece of glass, and then you wrap around the 2 ends to like hold it in place or tape them down or something to brace the side to stop it from getting wiggled about, and you leave it the fuck alone after that. Or if you don't know how to do that, leave it the fuck alone anyway. You know, and just keep pressure on the area around it or something. But maybe she was trying to hide the knife because she knew what it would look like. I can't imagine she wanted to stab her again. We're making the prosecution's point for her, and she's a medical student, so saving her life is pointless. Hide the knife. I think it was possibly so that she could hide the murder weapon. And yet the murder weapon was left there, thrust into the sand at the scene. Having pulled the knife from the victim, she couldn't find a place to hide it, so that was her only option, perhaps? I think, Counsel. No, we've lost that one. That you were ill-advised with your answer initially, and you're further ill-advised to pursue it. Oh dear, I'm terribly sorry. Since someone stabbed her anyway, another stab will not hurt. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, she's already dead, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let her lay there dead and me not get a good stab in because she's a bitch. Stab, stab, stab. There we go. So this job is not to be taken lightly. There's just so much pressure. Just because you're under pressure doesn't mean you can say the first thing that comes to your head. I'd like to revise my answer, Your Excellency. The reason the defendant pulled the knife is so she could save her life, then. I guess we're going to go with that, even though I know it's a silly answer. Oh, now the book's come out. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Indeed, giving her time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with a wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Barrett's life. Also, don't think too much on medical answers. People to do mistakes with these a lot. That's true, yeah, you have to ask yourself, do the game designers and the people who wrote these lines actually know what I know? Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel. Indeed. Ugh. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify, in respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Council, I mean. Slipshod? How dare you? Haha. An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopefully has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense. Okay, so they are actually going to probably come up with what we said as well. This is one of those where you're supposed to fail, let the game tell you failed, because it's the only way to move forward. Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the Defense Counsel's assertion. Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. I remember I was doing my first official driving license test, and there was a medical question about what to do if you don't have the sterile equipment with you to patch a wound. They said to use clothes to patch it. As someone who just finished a paramedic school, I was quite mad because I failed with that question. Oh no. Oh. Well then. Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's a case of something's better than nothing. But yeah. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. The basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget, the young student didn't have a motive for killing the victim, or did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. This is what we said. So, Susato was supposed to get that wrong. These are the things about this particular type of game that it's easy for you to get it wrong if you know the real answer. And you've got to think to yourself, does my character know that? And you have no way of knowing whether that's the right one or not. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper medical treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Ever a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. I would hate to think how many people are out there like that, but okay. Well, I've never stabbed anyone you see or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out the knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett? I don't know. There was an option to use no sterile equipment, so still medical equipment that is factory packed, but just not sterile. But no, they prefer using clothes that you don't even know how dirty they are. Oops. Oh well. So Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. Well, we haven't spoken to her much at all about her side of the case. It seems almost impossible to believe, but could my friend actually have... Susato? Yes? Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issues with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards. I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. What if I was thinking about it? Does that mean that if you used due care and attention, it would be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Well, she is a medic! She is the medic! She might have intended to be doing more. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. I had no idea it would be that hard. That's what she said. You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath. Urgh. Shut up, ouchie. Back to the witness's testimony, please. Basic knowledge and medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In that case, there's an obvious explanation here, which is, don't say she didn't know it. Clearly the defendant, Raymond Membami-san, does not possess an ounce of sense. My client is an idiot, Your Honor. No? What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Hey, I called that earlier. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it. Oh, goddamn. You got Thor's hammer out. Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Jesus Christ, put the hammer down, dude. Oh dear, that recoiled on me rather badly. That's life, I'm afraid, a lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would certainly have been aware of it. Yeah, how she acted earlier is kind of lacking, exactly. No good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull a knife from a victim. But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can be explained like this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. But irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Wow. Hey guys, the game said it, not me. Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such a bigoted view. That's it, you tell him, her, there, Hosonaga. You tell Ryutaro. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. I had to go get stuff injected. Did you push them on the whole stabbing wildly part? Oh yeah, we gone through that, yeah. The stabbing wildly and multiple time thing, we showed them the autopsy that said only stabbed once. So we've already moved past that, but we raised the issue of the fact that Ray pulls the knife out of the victim. So we're trying to now demonstrate that somebody else stabbed the victim and she withdrew the knife, and trying to figure out a good reason why she would do that. Otherwise, they're saying, so she pulled the knife out after she stabbed him, after she stabbed her, instead intending to stab her again. So we're at this sticking point now where it's like, either she stabbed Giselle Brett and then pulled the knife out intending to strike a second blow, or just run away. Or she pulled the knife out after finding Giselle Brett having been stabbed. And now we're trying to figure out why she would remove the knife. Pulls the knife out, examines. Not mine. Inserts again. So, oh, is that my knife? Sweet. No, not mine. There we go. Where did I put my knife? Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold. Well, I have managed to convey the basics now. That should cover the medical side of the argument. Let's not forget, the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. Oh, we seem to have dropped a few frames, guys. That's the first time we've had that in nearly a week. Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Membami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendant. You don't know them. And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law. Always keep my knives in my knife holder. I call him Mark. Have you seen those knife blocks that are basically like a person that's like, ah, like that, and all the knives are stabbed through the body? They're really good. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your arguments, not feelings. With this fledgling defendant, with this fledgling to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused. So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please? Ah, yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Membami-san. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor.
Hold it!
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Membami-san's talents and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with the opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Membami-san's abilities. Clearly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in the testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something else, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail too. Right, so this is going to give us the examination. Ah! I realize this is your first time playing the role of a lawyer in the courtroom, so if you need reminding on the rudimentaries, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record? That's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with the A button. Ah, by the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. We didn't really look at the pen either, did we? But they didn't let us, I guess, before, so... Can we do anything else with this? Only the magnifying glass, which again... doesn't seem to serve a purpose other than just purely decorative. Like, oh, look, we can zoom in. Oh, now we can actually examine the article. Raucous England returnees tells all. This is the interview with you and Soseki-san, isn't it, father? Karate chop! It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture this moment. His hand karate chopped me in the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. Jesus. You hit my dad, damn you! That's on the back page. This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive: deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Lab. Fucking yes! My theory! Yes, the Hassan chop! It's from Yume's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen. It's in the morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. Not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned this information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project. Oh no. Poison check. Hell yes. Ray, she was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. We need to read the article very carefully. It has been added to the court record as a specific article. About the art poison stolen from a laboratory at Yume University. Even my father, who is responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. But it's bringing my theory together. Told you guys. If we take off the pen's lid, we see that it is probably mightier than the sword. Oh my god. Is the poison inside in like a capsule that she used to put the fucking poison in the wine? Oh, poison in the pen. Yes, Urena. Yes. We're thinking alike. We are synchronizing our brains. You poor bugger, you. I mean, you know, great minds think alike is what I meant to say. Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Squeak, squeak, squeak. Oh, this is so James Bond, you guys. Also, let's have a look at the tip. There's some sort of emblem here, look, but it isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. Spectre. A business of some kind. But that would simply seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. So that's been added. An emblem of some description. So the RM could be somebody else. The RM initials are very clear as engraved here. In fact, that Miss Barrett was clinging to the pen in her dying moments is a very clear message too. To identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubts that this is a key piece of evidence in the case. But yes, look at the poison capsule. This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Except it doesn't have any ink in it, does it? Is something wrong, Father? There doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Not only that, but cleaned. There's no ink residue. The ink would stain it, surely. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.